So I'm back in the API reference, specifically in the create chat completion API reference. The parameters we can configure differ depending on the selected endpoint you're using. I will focus onto the chat completion here for the moment. So in our request body, we can define the model parameter. We had a look at this parameter already. We have this messages parameter with the role and content keys. We saw these already for the role of the user and the content being the message sent by the user to the API. These are, by the way, required parameters, so we always have to add these to our request. Therefore, these are also part of the example request, obviously. Another quite interesting parameter is the so-called temperature, though. Temperature simply defines the randomness of the output that is created by ChatGPT. You can have a temperature from 0 up to 2. The higher the value, the more random the output will be. If we add this parameter to our request, after our messages, so we simply add temperature right here, and now you can define a value from 0 up to 2, as I said. If I use 0, for example, and now rerun the code, and again ask what is Python, and then I do this again, then if we compare our two answers, these are actually equal. But if I would now change the temperature from the minimum value of 0 to 2, which is the maximum value, and now rerun the app, and again ask what is Python, then the creation of the output takes a lot longer, and the output is actually also longer, and also distinguishes significantly from the output we had for the two requests we sent with a temperature of 0. So I'll stick with a default value of around about 0.2 for the moment. The other core parameter you should be aware of is the max tokens parameter down here. Now, very important, we talked about tokens already, and we learned that different models have a different maximum capacity of tokens these can keep as context for a specific chat, for example. The max tokens here are different. These max tokens just limit the length of the output, so of the response you get for your API request. If we also add this parameter to our body here, the so-called request body, and say we want to have only 10 tokens, for example. Now again, run the code and ask what is a banana, which is a very creative question here. Then I get back a banana is a long curved fruit with a, and that's it. Because we reached the maximum amount of token that was defined as part of the so-called request body. If I increase this to 100 tokens, for example, then by asking the same question, we get hopefully back a complete answer. And indeed, this worked. So these are the maximum tokens we can define for the output, for the response, for the API request. And as mentioned, this limit is a different limit than the model-specific token limit that differs from model to model. Now you can dive deeper into other parameters that are available depending on the endpoint you are using, but with these core parameters, you're actually well set and ready to work on your own APIs. Before we do that though, we have to understand the response object in detail and also dive deeper into our messages parameter.